There's something about you, an undeniable pull, a quiet strength that captures attention the moment you enter a room. It's not about what you say or what you do, but rather the energy that surrounds you. Your presence, even in silence, speaks volumes. It's as if the world around you suddenly pauses, shifting focus toward the calm yet powerful aura you carry. This magnetic energy isn't something you actively try to generate. It's simply who you are. It's innate. You walk into spaces and the room seems to notice you before your feet even touch the ground. It's a presence that lingers in the air, felt even in your absence. People are drawn to you, intrigued by your quiet confidence. They find themselves wondering, who is this person? What is it about them that feels different? You don't have to do anything to attract attention. It happens effortlessly. There's a subtle yet strong influence in the way you carry yourself. It's as though your very essence speaks louder than words. You've mastered the art of being present in a way that compels others to take notice, not because you seek validation, but because your authenticity radiates with an undeniable clarity. Your energy has the power to shift dynamics. When you walk into a room, people can sense it, the energy, the vibe. You've experienced it, the sudden hush, the brief moment where all eyes are on you, wondering what it is that makes you so captivating. This isn't a dramatic show or an act of drawing attention. It's simply you being you, existing in your fullest, most authentic form. And that in itself is magnetic. The way you carry yourself, the way you hold space. It's an invitation for others to reflect, to recalibrate, and to pay attention. There's a certain serenity in your presence that creates curiosity. It's as if people want to know more, to understand the secret behind your calm, collected energy. They find themselves wanting to learn from you, to understand how you manage to remain so grounded and at ease, even in chaotic situations. It's the kind of energy that can't be faked, the kind that draws others to you in ways you don't even realize. You are a beacon, not because you want to be, but because your natural state of being invites others to lean in closer, to understand your depth. In the quietest of moments, your presence is often the loudest. It's not about the power you exude through words or actions, but the depth that lies within you. People may not even know why they're drawn to you, but they feel it. They feel something stirring inside them when they're near you, a sense of peace or a rush of energy that sparks change within themselves. That's the thing about magnetic people. They unknowingly inspire others simply by existing, by holding space and standing true to who they are. It's fascinating, really, how one person's energy can command such attention without them lifting a finger. It's not about controlling the room or dominating conversations, but rather about being grounded in your truth and letting your natural light shine through. People notice the quiet strength in you, and it makes them curious. They want to be around you, learn from you, understand what makes you tick. There's a sense of mystery and allure in your energy, one that makes others wonder how they too could embody that level of self-assurance. But your magnetic presence doesn't just draw people to you, it also makes them reflect on their own energy. They might find themselves becoming more aware of their own posture, tone, and presence when you're around. In your company, people start to evaluate how they show up in the world. Your presence is a mirror reflecting their own energy back to them. You unintentionally challenge them to be more of who they truly are without the masks they sometimes wear. Ultimately, your magnetic presence is a reminder that true power isn't about forcing your way into someone's consciousness. It's about living authentically, being grounded in who you are, and letting the world see you for the real you. When you stop trying to fit in, stop seeking approval, you become a living testament to the power of self-acceptance. And that, my friend, is what makes you so irresistibly magnetic. There's a depth to your emotional world that is both beautiful and overwhelming for those around you. You don't need to say a word for people to feel what you're going through. Your emotions aren't just felt in your voice or your actions. They are palpable in the space around you. Even in moments of stillness, your inner world resonates, vibrating in the air, creating a profound connection with those near. It's as though your heart is an open book, and even if you're not speaking, the pages are somehow visible to others. When you're happy, it's not just a fleeting joy, it's a radiance that fills the room. Your happiness has weight. It's the kind of joy that people can't ignore, even if you don't express it in grand gestures or loud laughter. It lingers in your smile, in your posture, in the light that shines from your eyes. Those around you feel the warmth of your joy as if it's contagious, reminding them of the simple pleasures and quiet moments that bring them happiness. And conversely, when you're sad or overwhelmed, your sorrow is not confined to your thoughts. It seeps into the room, wrapping itself around those who are close enough to feel it, urging them to pause and take notice of the heaviness you carry. This emotional intensity is not something you consciously put on display. It simply emanates from you naturally. It's as though your very presence is an invitation for others to connect with you on a deeper level. It might make some uncomfortable, particularly those who are more guarded with their emotions, because they can't hide from the rawness of what you're feeling. You don't have to speak about your struggles for them to see your vulnerability. It's written on your face in the way you carry yourself and in the stillness of your silences. Your emotional energy becomes a mirror, and for some, it's hard to look away from what they see in it. The intensity of your emotions also creates a ripple effect. When you're in a room, your emotional state shifts the dynamics. Others around you begin to feel what you feel. If you're grieving, they might not understand why, but they will feel a heaviness in the air that pulls at their own hearts. If you're angry, even the most composed person might find themselves stirred by the subtle power of your emotion. You don't have to say a word. Your energy communicates everything. And while this can be a beautiful thing, it can also be burdensome, because your emotional state can create an emotional weight for others, whether they're ready for it or not. Your emotional depth also makes people open up to you in ways they wouldn't with anyone else. There's something about your energy that invites vulnerability, and people feel safe enough to share their most intimate struggles, thoughts, and fears. Perhaps it's because they sense that you can handle the weight of their emotions, just as you handle your own, with grace, even if it's not always visible to them. They might not understand your emotional intensity fully, but they recognize that there's something profoundly comforting in knowing that someone else feels deeply too. Your ability to hold space for others is a gift, but it also comes with the challenge of balancing your own emotional needs. However, this emotional intensity can be exhausting. It can feel as though you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, not just your own struggles, but also the collective energy of those around you. You feel everything deeply, not just your own emotions, but the emotions of others too. It's as if you absorb the world's emotional turmoil without even trying. This might leave you feeling drained, overwhelmed, and sometimes emotionally raw, because there's only so much you can carry before the weight becomes too much. And yet, even in these moments of emotional overload, your aura remains open, constantly offering a space for others to lean in, to be seen, to be heard. Your silence is not empty. It holds so much. In the quietest moments, your emotions still speak loudly. It's in the way you sit, in the way your body language shifts, in the way your eyes reflect a depth of feeling that words can't quite capture. People may not always understand what you're going through, but they can't ignore the way you make them feel. There's an authenticity to your emotional expression that transcends words. It invites people to tune in, to slow down, and to listen to what isn't being said, to feel what is present even without being vocalized. And while your emotional intensity can sometimes be a challenge for those around you, it also makes you incredibly impactful. You have the ability to leave a mark on people, whether it's through the quiet strength of your joy or the vulnerability of your sadness. Your emotions, even when they are not expressed outwardly, make others feel something. something real, something deep. And in a world where emotional distance is often the norm, your ability to connect so authentically is a rare and beautiful gift. Your emotions are not a weakness, they are your power. They allow you to form connections, to understand others, and to create a space where raw, real feelings are welcome. You carry your emotions with grace, and in doing so, you invite others to do the same. There is an undeniable power in being true to who you are, and you embody that power with remarkable authenticity. You show up in the world with all of your flaws, all of your strengths, and all of your raw, unpolished truths. And in doing so, you create a space where others can see exactly who you are, unfiltered and unafraid. This level of authenticity, however, can be disarming to those around you. It can make them feel as though they too must strip away their layers of protection, forcing them to confront parts of themselves they'd rather keep hidden. Your honesty, while freeing to you, can be overwhelming to those who are not accustomed to such openness. When you speak from a place of deep honesty, never sugarcoating or pretending. Your words are an extension of your soul, and they reflect the truth as you see it. This kind of authenticity can be incredibly powerful for those who crave transparency, who want to see the world for what it truly is. However, for others, it may feel like too much, too soon. Your openness about your struggles, your victories, your vulnerabilities, and your fears can cause them to feel exposed, even if you're not necessarily directing your authenticity toward them. They might find themselves reflecting on their own lives, questioning whether they are as honest with themselves as you are. In your presence, their own masks start to slip, and that can be a frightening experience. What you might not realize is that your authenticity can create a kind of emotional mirror for those around you. When you show up as your most genuine self, it forces others to reckon with their own level of honesty. Many people are so used to hiding behind layers of social facades, pretending to be something they're not in order to fit in or protect themselves from vulnerability. Your ability to show up without the need for these masks makes others feel self-conscious about their own protective barriers. Your rawness is a mirror to their own inner walls, and that confrontation can make them uncomfortable, as they may not be ready to deal with their own truths. You've likely noticed that some people tend to shy away from you or avoid deep conversations when you get too real. While some may find your authenticity inspiring, others might experience it as an emotional overload. You wear your emotions, your beliefs, and your truth so openly that it can feel like an emotional avalanche to those who prefer to keep things surface level or hidden. For you, it's second nature to be this open, to speak your mind and wear your heart on your sleeve. But for others, it may feel as though you're laying bare a vulnerability they haven't yet allowed themselves to show. They may find themselves retreating inward, too self-conscious about their own lack of openness, or worse, they may feel that they have to match your level of transparency, which can feel intimidating and even stifling. The truth is, people often avoid authenticity because it requires a level of courage they're not ready to tap into. It requires a willingness to be seen for exactly who you are, without filters, without pretending. This can be a difficult thing to do in a world that often values perfection and presentation over raw, unrefined honesty. So when you enter a room, a conversation, or a relationship with this level of authenticity, it can throw others off balance. They might feel as though they are being forced into a space where they have to be as vulnerable as you, and that pressure can create discomfort. Yet, there's an incredible beauty in your ability to be so real. While some may recoil from your rawness, there are others who find it liberating. Your authenticity acts as a permission slip for them to begin removing their own layers, to allow themselves to be seen for who they truly are, free of judgment. But it's important to remember that not everyone is ready to do that work, and that's okay. You can't force others to embrace the kind of vulnerability you so naturally exude. However, you can continue to show up as your true self, letting others take their time to process what your authenticity stirs within them. In the end, your ability to be real and unfiltered is a gift that challenges the status quo, that pushes people to examine their own truths, and that creates an atmosphere of openness and raw connection. While some may feel uncomfortable or self conscious in your presence, your authenticity provides the opportunity for them to grow, to shed their layers, and to discover the freedom that comes with being unapologetically themselves. Even if they don't always appreciate it in the moment, they'll likely walk away from your interactions with a deeper understanding of themselves and what it means to truly live in their own truth. Leadership is often thought of as a loud, commanding presence, something that requires speeches, gestures, and authority. Your leadership begins in the way you carry yourself. There's a calmness in your manner, a grounded sense of self that radiates confidence and clarity. When you walk into a room, you don't need to announce your presence. People can feel it. It's the quiet assurance that you possess, the way you interact with the world that compels others to pay attention. You're not pushing your way into the spotlight, yet there's an undeniable energy about you that others instinctively recognize as one of leadership. People are drawn to you because they sense your authenticity and strength, qualities they want to connect with and learn from. It's in your actions that others see what true leadership looks like. You lead by example, showing through your choices, your commitment, and your integrity, the kind of person you are and the kind of person they can aspire to be. There's no need for grand declarations. Your consistent, steady actions speak louder than any words ever could. You show up day after day, doing what is right, not because you're looking for recognition, but because it aligns with your values. This quiet, unspoken leadership creates a ripple effect, inspiring those around you to follow suit, to raise their own standards, and to walk the path you've set before them. Your authenticity becomes the roadmap they choose to follow. What makes your leadership even more remarkable is that it doesn't impose on others. It simply inspires them to become better versions of themselves. People don't follow you out of obligation. They follow because they believe in what you represent. They want to align with your purpose, your values, and your vision, even if they don't fully understand it. You have a way of making people feel seen, heard, and valued, and that creates an atmosphere where others naturally gravitate towards you for guidance. When they are uncertain, they turn to you, not because you have all the answers, but because they trust your wisdom, your perspective, and your ability to see things clearly, even when the path ahead seems foggy. In your presence, others feel safe to ask questions, seek direction, or simply observe how you approach life's challenges. There's something in the way you handle adversity with grace and patience that encourages others to seek your guidance. You don't offer solutions in a forceful way. Instead, you create an environment where people feel empowered to find their own answers. Your leadership is not about dictating or controlling, but about holding space for others to grow, learn, and ultimately discover their own strengths. They look to you not because you demand it, but because they see you as a quiet example of what it means to live with integrity and purpose. Sometimes this kind of leadership can feel isolating. It's not always easy to lead from the background, to watch others come to you for advice and guidance while you remain the steady, silent force that supports them. But this unspoken leadership is powerful because it requires no ego. It's not about being seen or praised. It's about the impact you have on others' lives, even if they never openly acknowledge it. You plant seeds of growth, and over time, those seeds flourish into a community of people who have been touched by your quiet influence. You shape their lives through your actions, your character, and the example you set, often without them ever realizing just how much they've been influenced by you. Ultimately, your unspoken leadership shows us that the most impactful leaders don't necessarily need to stand at the front and lead with their voices. Sometimes the most powerful leadership comes from those who simply live in a way that others cannot ignore. Your presence, your example, and the way you move through the world inspire others to rise, to take action, and to become the best versions of themselves. It's not through words or directives, but through the quiet power of your actions that you leave an indelible mark on the lives of those around you. You lead not by commanding, but by being. And that in itself is a profound and lasting influence. There's something intangible but undeniably powerful about the way you enter a room. The moment you step through the door, it's as though the energy of the entire space shifts, like a wave rippling through the air. People can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel it. It's an almost magnetic presence that alters the atmosphere, sometimes bringing a sense of calm and peace, other times stirring up a sense of heightened tension. Regardless of the mood, your presence impacts the room in a way that can't be ignored. You don't have to speak a word or make any grand gesture. Simply walking into the space is enough to make others take notice. When the energy in the room is positive, your presence only amplifies it. You carry a warmth with you that immediately puts others at ease. The room seems to open up when you arrive, and people find themselves more engaged, more willing to connect, and more eager to participate. There's a certain lightness in the air as your energy merges with the existing mood, elevating it to a level of harmony and joy. Whether it's the way you smile, the warmth in your eyes, or the way you move through a space with such ease, you have a unique ability to draw out the best in people. You create a sense of unity without saying a word, allowing others to feel seen and heard, which brings the group together in ways they may not even fully understand. On the other hand, there are times when your energy stirs the room in a more intense way, especially if the atmosphere is already charged with tension or uncertainty. When you walk in, it's as if the energy tightens, becomes more focused, or even more intense. People may not always understand why, but there's a palpable shift. Your presence has the ability to cut through the noise, to bring the unsaid to the surface, and to make things feel more real in a way that others can't escape. This is often the result of the depth and authenticity you carry with you. You don't shy away from discomfort, and that can cause others to confront their own emotions or hidden tensions. This doesn't mean you bring negativity intentionally, but rather your energy forces a reckoning, making people more aware of what's happening beneath the surface of the interaction. The way you shift the energy also depends on how deeply you are connected with your own emotions in the moment. When you are feeling particularly grounded and centered, your energy has a calming effect on the room. People gravitate toward your sense of calm, and the tension that may have been brewing dissipates, replaced by a sense of peace. It's as though your emotional state provides a stabilizing force for the group, offering others a sense of refuge from whatever may be weighing on them. On the flip side, when you walk in carrying your own emotional weight, whether it's frustration, sadness, or excitement, others can feel that too. Your energy is so deeply tied to your emotional landscape that it is felt by those around you. This emotional intensity can cause others to pause and pay attention, sometimes creating discomfort or a need for them to adjust their own emotional states in response. What's fascinating about your ability to shift a room's energy is that it's not something you consciously do. It's a byproduct of the way you live, the way you move through life, and the way you hold space. Your energy is authentic, and it has an unspoken power because it isn't filtered or manipulated. It's pure and real, and people feel that truth in the room, even if they can't articulate it. This means that your presence acts like an emotional compass, guiding the energy of the room in whatever direction it needs to go, whether it's pulling it toward lightness and joy or toward a more focused, tension-filled intensity. It's the natural force of your being that shifts the atmosphere. And that power is not something everyone possesses. However, this ability to change the energy can also be challenging to navigate. It's not always easy to walk into a room and sense that everything has shifted because of your presence. Sometimes the change might feel uncomfortable for you as well, especially if the room is charged with unresolved conflict or unspoken emotions. You might sense that the group is not fully aligned with your energy, and that can create a sense of isolation or tension for you as well. Yet, in those moments, it's important to remember that your presence is not a burden to others, but rather a catalyst for change. Your ability to shift the room's energy invites people to confront the realities that they might otherwise ignore. And while that may not always feel comfortable, it's part of the unique role you play in helping others engage more authentically with themselves and the world around them. Ultimately, your ability to shift the energy in any room, whether for the better or more tensely, speaks to the profound impact you have on those around you. It's a reminder that the presence we bring to the world can either calm a storm or stir it up. What matters is the way you embrace your own energy, knowing that sometimes the changes you create in the room are necessary for growth. Whether you bring lightness or intensity, your energy always creates movement. It encourages others to be present, to feel deeply, and to engage with the energy around them, transforming the space in ways that words alone could never do. There is a quiet yet powerful gift that you carry within you, an extraordinary ability to deeply connect with the emotions of others. This is not just a surface level understanding of what people are going through, but an immersive experience of their pain, joy, fear, and sorrow. When someone shares their struggles, you don't just listen, you feel them. It's as if their emotions become your own, flooding your heart and mind with the same intensity. While empathy is often seen as a noble and compassionate trait, for you, it can sometimes feel overwhelming, as if the weight of others' emotional burdens presses down on you, leaving you with little room to breathe. The intensity of your empathy can be both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it allows you to connect with people on a profound level, offering them comfort and understanding in ways few others can. Your capacity to feel their pain so deeply makes you an incredibly compassionate listener, someone who can sit with another person's grief without needing to rush in with advice or solutions. People sense this ability in you and are drawn to share their most vulnerable moments with you, trusting you to hold space for them in their times of need. Yet, as much as this gift allows you to be a source of solace, it can also leave you feeling emotionally drained, as if you are constantly absorbing the weight of the world without a clear way to release it. At times, your empathy can disrupt the emotional balance of a room. When someone near you is hurting or troubled, it's as if their emotional pain becomes magnified through your own experience of it. You don't merely witness their discomfort, you embody it. This deep connection can cause the energy in the room to shift, sometimes in uncomfortable ways. Others might feel overwhelmed by the intensity of what you're feeling, especially if they themselves aren't as in tune with their own emotions. It can be unsettling for those who prefer to keep their emotional distance, as they might not know how to process the flood of emotions you evoke in them. In a group setting, you may find that your heightened emotional awareness either draws people closer or causes them to withdraw, unsure of how to handle the intensity you bring. This emotional flood can also blur the boundaries between your own feelings and those of others. It becomes difficult to discern where your emotions end and where theirs begin. As you tune into the pain of someone else, it can begin to seep into your own psyche, making it harder to maintain emotional equilibrium. The result is that you can sometimes find yourself overwhelmed, carrying the weight of not just your own emotions, but the emotional burdens of everyone around you. It may feel as though your heart is constantly open, absorbing everything in its path, leaving you with little energy to tend to your own emotional needs. In those moments, it's important to remember that while your empathy is a gift, it also requires conscious care and boundaries. The emotional disruption caused by your empathy isn't always visible to others, but you can often feel it in your body, mind, and spirit. It's as if you can sense the subtle shifts in the air when someone is struggling, and that awareness becomes a pressure in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or an ache in your soul. This kind of emotional attunement is draining because it's so immediate and visceral. It's as if you cannot simply observe someone's pain from a distance. You have to live it with them, experience it alongside them. This deep emotional resonance can feel like a weight that you carry silently, even as you try to navigate through your own life. Sometimes the depth of what you feel can make it difficult to focus on anything else, as your mind constantly loops through the emotional waves of those you are attuned to. Yet, the intensity of your empathy also allows you to offer a kind of healing that few others can provide. There is an undeniable power in the way you hold space for others' pain. While your empathy may create emotional turbulence for you, it also serves as a mirror for those around you, reflecting their own emotions in a way that encourages healing and growth. When you deeply connect with someone suffering, you allow them to feel understood, validated, and seen. This, in turn, can open the door for them to process their emotions, to release their pain, and to move toward healing. However, this process can be exhausting for you, as you may find yourself emotionally entwined with their journey, unable to fully detach or let go of what they're experiencing. In the end, your overwhelming empathy is a complex, multifaceted gift. While it can be a source of great emotional intensity, it also holds the potential to create deep connections, to offer comfort and healing, and to foster a sense of mutual understanding in the most profound way. It is a reminder that empathy, though powerful, requires conscious care and boundaries. It's important to honor your own emotional landscape and to find ways to replenish yourself so you can continue to offer this rare and beautiful gift to others without losing sight of your own needs. By understanding the balance between compassion and self care, you can continue to use your empathy to connect, support, and heal while also preserving your own emotional well being. You carry a unique and magnetic energy that draws people toward you, often without even trying. Your presence has a way of making an impact, stirring emotions in others, and creating a dynamic in the space that cannot be ignored. While you may not intend to cause any disruption, your very essence can unintentionally challenge the boundaries that others have carefully established to protect themselves. This is not to say that you are intrusive or unaware, but the energy you exude can unconsciously nudge people into confronting areas of vulnerability they are not prepared to face. It's like the force of your presence creates a ripple effect that touches on their insecurities, making them feel exposed in ways they may not fully understand or know how to handle. This unintentional boundary pushing often manifests in subtle ways. People may feel uneasy around you without being able to pinpoint why. It's not that you've crossed any lines directly, but rather that your energy has a way of illuminating their inner landscape, exposing aspects of themselves they prefer to keep hidden. The way you show up in the world, confident, unfiltered, and unapologetically authentic, can be both inspiring and intimidating to those who are not yet comfortable with their own sense of self. Without saying a word, you unknowingly encourage others to reckon with their own limitations, fears, and insecurities, whether they are ready to do so or not. And that can be unsettling for them. The very nature of your presence often forces people to confront their own boundaries. They may feel like they need to measure up to the way you carry yourself, or they may be triggered by the way you effortlessly navigate spaces with a level of confidence they haven't yet developed. Your authenticity shines so brightly that it can make others question whether they are as true to themselves as you are. In doing so, they may feel inadequate, as though they must adjust their own sense of self in order to fit into the space you've created. What feels natural to you, being yourself, can sometimes be perceived by others as a challenge to their carefully constructed personas. And in these moments, they might unconsciously push back, retreating or distancing themselves to preserve their own emotional space. What's fascinating about this phenomenon is that you're not intentionally setting out to trigger anyone's insecurities or overstep boundaries. In fact, it's likely that you're unaware of the discomfort your presence can stir in others. You move through the world with a kind of emotional openness and self assurance that can be perceived as an unspoken invitation for others to examine their own lives. However, this emotional openness can sometimes feel like a challenge to those who are still grappling with their own vulnerabilities. They might see the way you live authentically as a mirror to their own lack of self acceptance, which can make them feel insecure or defensive, even if you haven't said a word. The emotional impact of your presence is felt not because you've done anything wrong, but because your energy pushes them to confront what they've been avoiding. For some, this unintentional boundary pushing can result in a heightened sense of discomfort or self awareness. They may feel compelled to distance themselves from you because the emotions you evoke bring them face to face with the parts of themselves they haven't yet worked through. This isn't a reflection of your actions, but rather a result of their own internal struggles. It's possible that your presence makes them realize they need to address aspects of their personality or past they've been ignoring. And while this kind of growth is ultimately healthy and necessary, it can also feel unsettling, especially for those who are not ready to undertake that journey of self reflection. You may notice that some people avoid deeper interactions with you, not because they dislike you, but because the energy you bring stirs up things they aren't yet prepared to face. However, there is a gift in this unintentional ability to challenge others' boundaries. The emotional tension that you inadvertently create is an invitation for growth, both for you and for those around you. Your presence acts as a mirror, allowing others to see their own emotional landscape and encouraging them to work through their discomfort. You offer a kind of emotional truth that forces them to examine their boundaries, their fears, and their insecurities. In time, this may inspire them to become more authentic, more self aware, and more willing to break free from the limitations they've set for themselves. While it might not always feel comfortable in the moment, you provide the space for others to stretch, to evolve, and to grow. It's important to remember that while your presence can stir insecurities and challenge personal boundaries, this does not make you responsible for how others react. People's discomfort is rooted in their own internal process, not in any intentional wrongdoing on your part. The key is to continue embracing your authenticity, knowing that you don't have to dim your light to make others comfortable. It's through your own journey of self-acceptance and openness that you encourage others to do the same, even if it feels unsettling at times. By maintaining healthy boundaries for yourself and respecting those of others, you can continue to be a source of positive change, growth, and inspiration, even when the process is messy or uncomfortable. In this way, your presence, though sometimes challenging, serves as a catalyst for deeper transformation and self-awareness for both yourself and those around you. There is an undeniable power in the way you communicate, a way of speaking the truth that can't be ignored. Even when you don't directly say something, your words, whether in passing or through subtle hints, carry a depth of honesty that cuts through the surface level conversations most people are accustomed to. It's as if your words don't just dwell in the obvious, they have a way of reaching deeper, touching on things that others may not even consciously recognize within themselves. This gift you have to reveal hidden truths is magnetic yet intimidating, for not everyone is ready to confront the layers of reality you bring to light, no matter how gently you try to offer them. Your truth teller vibe is not necessarily about being blunt or harsh, but about being in tune with the deeper currents of human experience. You seem to have an almost uncanny ability to read between the lines, to notice things that most people overlook, and to articulate truths that others may have been avoiding. This could be something as simple as recognizing a shift in someone's behavior, a subtle change in their energy, or a small detail that hints at something deeper. Without even meaning to, your words often bring attention to these unspoken truths, making others pause and reconsider what they've been suppressing or refusing to face. It's as if you serve as a mirror, reflecting back to them the parts of themselves they'd rather keep hidden. This ability to uncover hidden truths can stir a variety of emotions in those around you. For some, your presence and your words are a gift as they allow them to see things more clearly and face uncomfortable realities that they may have been too afraid to confront on their own. You offer clarity and insight, allowing people to recognize patterns or behaviors that were previously invisible to them. However, for others, this gift can feel unsettling, even confronting. They might find themselves avoiding you as your ability to articulate what is often left unsaid can be too much for them to handle. It's not that you are pushing them into uncomfortable truths with ill intent, but rather that your authenticity and perceptiveness force them to reckon with their own inner turmoil. At times, you may even sense that your truth teller vibe is causing unease in the room, but you are so deeply in tune with the world around you that you can't help but speak what feels true. You can't control how others will react to your words, but you've come to understand that your role in this world is not to protect people from the truth, but to help them face it, even when it's uncomfortable. It's not about you imposing your perspective on others, but about gently offering a lens through which they can see things they might have been avoiding. This process can sometimes be painful, both for you and for them, but you know that growth only happens when people are willing to step into the light of honesty. The impact of your truth teller vibe extends beyond just direct conversations. Even in moments of silence, the way you hold space and the energy you exude can create an atmosphere where truths begin to surface on their own. People may feel compelled to open up to you, sharing parts of themselves they've kept hidden for years. You have a way of drawing out honesty from others without forcing it, making them feel safe enough to express their deepest fears, regrets, or desires. The simple act of being in your presence is enough to encourage people to look inward and face the things they might have been too scared to acknowledge. And even though this process can be emotionally charged, your unwavering authenticity acts as a foundation for others to explore their own truths without judgment or shame. Despite the discomfort your truth teller vibe can evoke, it ultimately serves a higher purpose, the fostering of personal growth and transformation. Your honesty isn't about tearing others down or making them feel inferior. It's about pushing them to evolve, to shed the layers of pretense they've been hiding behind, and to embrace the fullness of who they are. You challenge others to step into their own truth, to stop running from what is real, and to confront the parts of themselves they've been afraid to face. You hold up a mirror not to reflect their flaws, but to show them the potential for growth, healing, and understanding that lies beyond the discomfort of facing the truth. Over time, your presence as a truth teller becomes something people learn to respect, even if they don't always welcome it. They know that when they are around you, there is no room for half-truths or avoidance. You bring clarity to situations, sometimes in the gentlest ways, and sometimes through sharp moments of honesty. But regardless of how it manifests, your truth teller vibe creates a ripple effect in the lives of others. They are forced to ask themselves hard questions, to face uncomfortable truth, and to make decisions that may have been delayed for far too long. While it can be difficult for them to process the rawness you bring to the surface, your honesty ultimately serves as a catalyst for deep transformative change. Through your words, you help others move toward the liberation of self-awareness and the healing that comes from embracing the truth, no matter how difficult it may be.